Welcome back, everybody, here to Veteran Nation. Welcome back, everyone, here to Veteran Nation. And today we've got a really good guest who's going to be talking to us about PTSD, TBI. But before we get started, I want everyone to go to www.nrnplus.com/VN. Again, that's all spelled out. www.nrnplus.com/VN. That's our landing page, and you can subscribe to this show. You can subscribe to the network. It's $9.95 for the month, or you can pay $79.95 for the year and get yourself a little bit of discount. And with that, you're going to get access to all of the independent content creators and news finders here on the network. So with that, I want to get us right in. So today we have Donna. Donna, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Quach. It's almost like it's almost saying watch, but with a Q, Quach.
Okay. And you have an organization called You Matter Not Alone, correct?
Yes. It was established in 2018. It's a suicide prevention mental health charity.
And you also are an Army veteran, correct?
Yes, I am. I got out last year in 2020.
So before we start off, tell us a little bit about your story of you in the military and what put you on this path.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. I joined the military back in 2011 and served as a reservist, as an Army medical officer, but a lot of times we're activated. And so my job was an operational planner in the military. And so pretty much, planning different training for our medical team so that they can be ready to be deployed at any point in time. So that was my job. Also, my secondary job in the military was a clinician, a psychotherapist, and providing mental health care for our soldiers. That's as far as with my job in my civilian world, that's what I do. I'm a psychotherapist with a specialty in advanced pediatric mental health care for children and also for trauma for our adults. I got out last year because I was really getting too busy with my charity and also with my private practice. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I was giving back to our veterans because I'm a veteran myself. And so our charity was established in 2018. And it really, again, it's really about bringing awareness to suicide prevention, mental health, and also human advocacy with an emphasis of focusing on helping women and being empowered in the community and establishing entrepreneurships.
That's great. That's, we're losing 22 veterans every single day. So what you are doing is incredibly important. Me, as someone with a diagnosis of PTSD, I can tell you how invaluable yourself is and people like yourself. So, I'm very thankful. So thank you for doing that.
Mike, I wanted to correct something. It's not 22 a day now. It's within the last year due to COVID, the suicide rate for our veterans has increased by 20%. So it's 35 plus a day now. I just want to make that correction. As sad as it is, and yes, the 22 number, I know it's out there and, there's a lot of message about 22 a day. That's not correct. It's 35 plus now.
Wow. That's I hadn't heard that updated statistic. So thank you for letting us know. And it just really highlights, how important all of this is. Everything we do on this show is all about, trying to help veterans. And that's your organization. That's what you guys do. Was it just a natural thing for you to start this organization up, or was there any impetus that made you start it?
Mike, I didn't plan on starting the charity. The reason why is because in 2018, there was a huge increase of suicide for our teens. And so, as a clinician, we felt helpless because we were having young teens come into our office and talking about, suicide, having suicidal thoughts and having thoughts of wanting to commit, to commit suicide. And so we felt as though that we needed to do something to put ourselves out there and to be able to support the community better. We didn't, it wasn't a financial matter or anything or so forth. We knew that we have that skill, the mental health, and as a healer, to be able to heal other people and, really bring awareness to suicide prevention and mental health. So that's where our charity started. And obviously, because I'm a veteran and I know of the high number of suicide rate coming from survivor's guilt, returning back from combat deployment, I was more invested in ensuring that, that was one of our goals and objectives within our nonprofit organization, that we must get out into the military, segment the base, and really, helping our vets and also even our active service members.
Okay. No, that's it all makes very good sense. Every military family I know of, whether they're still in or not, they've been affected in some way or another by suicide. So, I mean, it's something we cannot run from. It's a problem we just have to deal with. So that's, that makes a lot of sense with what you're doing and what your background is. What I would like to ask is, with the charity and even while you were in, what are probably some of the biggest challenges, things that people might not understand or know about?
I think a couple of things is the stigma. The stigma is huge because it's with respect to mental health, that, if you go and seek therapy or you go out and seek help to talk to a therapist, that there is something wrong with you, that you're crazy and you need to be institutionalized and so forth. And also the act of ignorance, of not being educated of what mental health is. And I think those two are really huge for our society, where it prevents people from getting help, especially men who was brought up to be masculine, and that you can't cry, you need to hold back your emotions, you need to tough it up. And so the stubbornness there too as well. And then also, what they were brought up with, not seeking help and just really suppressing their emotions because it's a sign of weakness. And that is absolutely wrong. And our charity, and my hope as a therapist, is to really lift that stigma and say, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to go get help. It's okay to talk about your feelings, and that there should be no judgment, to be able to really, process your traumas and your wounds and whatever you're experiencing in your home life.
Yeah, that's and definitely with the military, we're by nature, it's a macho organization, probably always will be. So yeah, there are some hurdles and challenges to deal with that. I think for myself, I think the biggest realization was that PTSD was my brain's way of trying to protect me. And once I realized that, hey, I'm still in that warrior mode and I don't need to be, that's when it was, okay, what do I need to do to bring myself out of it, so I can just live day to day? I don't know if that's something you normally see, or if that's pretty common. I just know it's my story.
Yeah, really quickly, my specialty during my military time was brain development. So I studied a lot on that. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. Our brain is developed and designed to really protect us. It's who's going to hurt us, who's going to kill us, and how we're going to find food to survive. And so, when as soldiers, when we're out in deployment, our brain is on survival mode all the time. And, and when we come back to civilization or civilian world, our brain doesn't automatically shuts off. It's still on high alert. And that's kind of where the PTSD comes in, to the hypervigilancy, the recurring thoughts, something bad's going to happen, being on edge all the time, the irritability, the anger. And so not a lot of individuals, especially with soldiers coming back and being aware that they have PTSD, because it's definitely the norm for them. It's normal for them to be hypervigilant. It's normal for them to be on alert all the time, 24/7, because something bad's going to happen. And so, when they're back in civilian world, their brain doesn't know how to transition that way. The brain has to be retrained again, to recognize that you're safe and you're in control and nothing bad's going to happen. You leaving the house, nothing's going to blow up or anything. You're not going to have an IED when you're driving down the road.
Mhm.
So helping them to normalize that, Mike, is really important. And helping them to be able to transition into the civilian world is huge for many of our veterans because they don't know how to operate. It's literally like night and day.
Now, I know there's a lot of different treatments out there, a lot of new things. Is there anything that you have seen that maybe everyone doesn't know about that you think this is something that's really worthwhile? Veterans should absolutely just try it out. Is there any type of treatments or
Oh,
anything?
absolutely, Mike. So beyond the traditional therapy, the cognitive behavioral therapy and the talk therapy, a couple of things because my specialty is trauma based. So I am trained in EMDR. Yeah, EMDR is a special form of therapy where it stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So it's a long word. So just if I say EMDR, that's what I mean. And what that does is it forces, certain areas of the brain to reprocess certain traumas. And it's mainly in the limbic area, our emotional state area. A lot of times when we experience trauma, whether it's in combat, whether it's, getting into a car accident, that certain area of our brain remembers that piece right there. And if it's stuck and it's not healing, you're going to get a lot of the PTSD symptoms, such as the hypervigilancy, the recurring thoughts, potentially even the nightmares. And so we want that area to reprocess to force the brain to heal. So in EMDR work, we use a lot of eye movements because it's also connected to our limbic area. So we
Okay.
do a lot of eye movements, and we have the veteran hold on to that traumatic memory that they've experienced during their deployment. And so, and then again, it can be very hard for some veterans, but
Mhm.
helping them follow our eyes, or even also tapping using somatic, bilateral movements. Tapping like this, it forces both of the brains to be able to connect with each other and forces that area to reprocess. So we use a lot of the tapping, and we can also let them hear the audio too as well, where it's a bilateral sound, forcing both the brains to connect with each other while they're holding on to that memory. And so again, so we'll do that repetitionally, and to help the veterans heal from that. It's very effective. That's one treatment right there. That is very well known, that most clinicians who specialize in trauma will know how to use EMDR. The second thing is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And I also have a medical background, and I've done a lot of research and talked to many professionals about hyperbaric oxygens. And it's originated from sea divers, where when they go underwater for long periods of time, the worst condition is them, really damaging certain areas of their brain. So when they get out of the water, they're put right into this chamber. It's a gas. It's kind of like an oxygen chamber, and
Okay.
they get oxygen infiltrated into their brain to really help certain areas of the brain to be able to ensure that there's no damages of brain cells, or loss of brainwave movements. And so this is also found to be really helpful for our veterans who have been on deployment and have TBI, which stands for traumatic brain injury, and really helps certain areas of the brain that's been damaged, and providing it oxygen to recultivate itself, and to help the brain to balance out the chemicals that goes on there, so that it heals the brain, number one, so that you're not getting a lot of the PTSD symptoms. And then also, if you have traumatic brain injury, TBI, that is also going to heal certain regions of that. So again, hyperbaric oxygen therapy is very effective. I've referred a couple of my veterans to a nonprofit organization called 22 Project, which deals mainly with veterans and providing this service for free for them. And so I've seen immaculate improvements, to a point where my veterans do not report any suicide anymore.
Wow. That's huge. That's one thing I've experienced, especially, with this show and talking with veterans, is, you know, you talk to a lot and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to get treatment. The VA is just going to try to put me on medication again.
Mhm.
And, with that, you know, I've told so many veterans, look, try something, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you just try the next thing. It's you have to keep working to try to get better. And that's the message I've given people, but it's really inspiring to hear that there are people like yourselves out there pushing other methods, because
Yeah.
you know, medication is great, but also medication can affect us in a lot of different ways. I know when they put me on different medications, I've been willing to try them, but you know, there's certain things I don't want to affect it. I don't want my personality to change. You know, I
Mhm.
don't want to, I, you know, I don't want something that's going to kill one thing that I enjoy doing to
Right.
help me from being depressed, that type of thing. So,
Mhm.
very good to hear that. Um, is there any specific challenges? And I'm really looking towards one way, and I'm thinking of MST, military sexual trauma, for those watching who are unaware of what MST is. Um, because there's just so many cases out there now of MST. It's something that we're seeing over and over. Is there anything specifically for someone who suffered MST that you think they should be open to trying?
Absolutely. So, trauma work, absolutely, therapy is going to be very effective. Equine therapy is very helpful. I think the first thing anybody who's gone through any type of sexual trauma is that when sexual trauma happens, the power is someone else took that power away from you. And so the most first and foremost important thing is recognizing that it's not your fault and that you're not a victim, you are a survivor. And you need to believe that. And moving forward is to be able to reach out and get help. Suppressing it is not going to work, and do not live, through shame and guilt because you're speaking about it or you're getting help for it. And really, again, many different variations of therapy could be, again, talk therapy, but the most effective therapy that I, encourage anybody who's experienced any type of trauma, whether it's deployment or being sexually uh, assaulted in the military or even in the regular world, is EMDR. There's another form called brain spotting therapy too, as well as very similar to EMDR. It's just targeting certain areas of the brain to force the brain to, reprocess. And then there's also hyperbaric oxygen therapy that I live by, and I very much recommend and support any of my veterans or even any survivors to really go through HiBot and to really get that, really in-depth um, medical care for them.
No, that's great. And I'm been sitting here writing because you've actually said a lot of really great things. But I'll tell you one thing very important, and fans of this show know I've talked about rape in the military and sexual assaults. And yeah, believing and knowing that you're a survivor, I think, is very important. And also, you know, in any way you can, to take back that control of your life. If it's talking about what happened to you, do it, because don't be a victim, be a survivor. So I think that's a really important message that you have there, that I've tried to convey on this show, but I don't think I've been as adequate in the way I've described it as you have. So
Right, right.
thank you for that.
Mike, another one is service dogs.
Mhm.
Our organization and my belief is service animals is a healer. They are designed to heal human beings. That's why equine therapy is also very valuable for our veterans. Equine therapy is working with horses, and horses has this natural instinct that if you're guarded, it's not gonna it's gonna pull away from you. It
Mhm.
really is, because they got these natural instinct and they can sense when when your PTSD is elevated. And so working with them is learning to be congruent and giving that internal balance for you. So that's another avenue of either having a service animal to really help bring in that compassion and help calm your PTSD, or working with equine therapy with horses. It's a beautiful thing. I always encourage my veterans. There's a program called Melwood Organization, and it's out in Maryland, and they run groups when during COVID they have it virtually, but prior to that they will have our veterans come out for about a week and you do a lot of obstacles together. You do yoga, you do, a lot of teamwork and a lot of, team building skills individually for yourself and as a group to really help you heal from your trauma. It's a wonderful thing. And you'll be working with horses too.
And what was the name of that organization again?
It's called Melwood Organization. And I can also send you that link too and let everybody know about this. And we're in connection, during my time in the service, I did a lot of research and finding different organizations out there. And it's wonderful. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations that has services that is provided for our veterans. And Melwood is one of them, again, located out in Maryland, provides, a trauma work and for MST and also for our combat warriors.
No, that's perfect because, as you know, I have a service animal. I swear by them. So I can talk about this from personal experience. I used to get physically nauseous going into certain places and, putting myself in certain situations. With my service dog, I don't have that problem anymore. Yeah. That's probably been, and that was an immediate change. Like the day I got her, I went in somewhere and I was like, okay, normally I'm apprehensive about being here and my body gets physically impacted by coming in here, but I've got this dog here who's picking up on it and just, nudging me like, hey, knock it off. And I'm not affected. So if you're out there and you're a fan of the show and you want a service animal, there's a lot of places out there. What I experienced when I went to the VA to ask, hey, what do I do to get a service animal? They're like, yeah, we don't do that here. And they really weren't helpful. My VA with putting me in contact, but it was another veteran who I ran into who he had one. And I was just like, where'd you get it? From there on, I was on the path to getting my service animal. So if you're a fan of the show, feel free to reach out to either of us because we're going to want to put you, we're going to want you to experience what it's like to have a service animal.
Melanos, we work with this foundation called Melanos Foundation. It's out in Utah. Okay. And they train Melanos dogs. And so, and they're wonderful. And we can also provide that resources for everybody too as well. Another thing that we've been working on, and I want the public to know, is that we are launching a Battle Buddy check-in app. And it's an app that's on the phone. Okay. That is in a press of a button. It's going to alert all our veterans, when you are in distress or when you are suicidal. And, we know that many of our veterans is not going to call the National Suicide Hotline immediately when they're in distress or when they want to take their lives. But we know that they will feel more comfortable talking to one of us, their armed brothers and sisters. So that app is going to be launched at the end of the year. Again, fundraising has been slow. It's coming in just due to COVID and the pandemic, but we really need, some more fundings, and we hope we can get some support with that. Because we feel there's a need for that to really cut down on we can't eliminate suicide, but we know that this app will work and will save lives.
No, that's great. So if anyone's watching and you want to donate to a charity, right there, that's a perfect one right there for you to donate your money to, because it's going to help people. And also I'll say, for anyone out there, if you're contemplating suicide, don't hesitate to reach out to our show. I'm very big on Twitter at VetNationNRN. That's my way. My DMs are open. You can DM me if you're having any issues. I'm happy to talk with you. I just would like to make sure that we get all of your plugs in, because I know you've got email addresses, links, and stuff like that. And I want to clear everything up so that all of our listeners and watchers know where they can go to reach out to you and your organization.
Sure, absolutely. So our email is youmatternotAlone@gmail.com. And the words are all spelled out, lowercase. Again, it's youmatternotAlone@gmail.com. That's our email. And then we also have a Facebook page, which is You Matter Not Alone. As far as with Instagram, we are at YouMatter_not alone.
Okay. And for those of our fans who are in our Facebook group, when this goes out, I'm going to put links to all that stuff in there for you. So if you're in our Facebook group, the Veteran Nation Facebook group, you can always get it there as well as, and I'll put it out on my other social media as well. But Donna, thank you so much for joining us today. I think, I hope that a lot of people reach out for help. I hope a lot of people reach out to donate. But I think you have a really great organization, just are doing some fantastic work.
Thank you so much, Mike. And again, thank you for having me on to be able to talk about how we can, take care of our veterans and provide more support in the community.
Oh, no, thank you. And for all of our viewers out there, I'm going to remind you, go to www.nrnplus.com/VN. That's our landing page. You can like and subscribe our videos, $9.99 for the month if you want to subscribe to the channel, or $79.95 for the year if you want a little bit of a discount. And also, you can find our group, Veteran Nation, on Facebook. Again, I'm at Vet Nation NRN on Twitter. NRN Plus has its own Facebook page as well. So absolutely reach out to us, and we'll be putting out all these links and just a lot of great information out there. And if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out, because there are people out there to help you. And for everyone out there, thank you for being worth serving.